What's up, you wonderful people? Today we're going to talk about how to bring sounds into Unreal and then create cues with those sounds. Cues are kind of programmable versions of those sounds to kind of alter the sound in a way that works better for your game. So before you do this video, watch this video, you should have already went to the first video, watched it, and created a bunch of sounds or gotten a bunch of sounds from Google Classroom and chopped them up and had like individual sounds in a folder that you know where those sounds are. So if you haven't done that yet, go to the first video, watch the first video, follow along. You're going to have to go to Google Classroom. There's a sounds folder in Google Classroom, and you're going to have to download some sounds and then cut them up into smaller pieces and store them into a folder that you know where they are. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So right now I'm in my game. This is like my test game, and I'm going to keep organized. So I'm going to go to my content folder, and I get this little bit here by just clicking on that. I go to my content folder, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say new folder, and I'm going to say sounds. And then in here, I'm going to make a new folder inside sounds. Some different types of sounds, right? I'm going to have like sounds with people shooting. I'm going to have sounds with people talking. I'm going to have dialogue sounds. I'm going to have environment sounds, all different sounds. So I want to keep that organized too. So I'm going to call this one environment. This is environment sounds. I'm going to open up this. So now inside here I have environment sounds. And then I'm going to go to my folder where I've kept all my sounds, right? This is where I've took my like cut up sounds. I have two folders in here. I have magic sounds and I have 4 different cut up magic sounds. And then I have environment. And inside environment I have bird outdoors. I'm just going to take that and just drag it right in. And it's going to import it right there, and if I hit play, you hear these like bird sounds, right? So now what I can do is this is just like a straight sound. What I want to do with these is once you get these, you want to like right click and say create cue. This allows you, and I'm going to call this cue out. I'll call it cue, so I know it's a cue. Outside. This allows you to program this sound. So there's going to be a reason why I want to program this sound. Let me explain this out. Here we go. So if I drag this in, this now will play the sound in my game. When I hit play, there's the sound. I hear these beautiful birds. I'm running around. Say there's like, doing this stuff and I'm doing that stuff. It's very nice. Beautiful sounds of birds. Uh-oh. Just stopped, right? That stinks, right? That's not good. You don't want it just to stop. That's why you have this cue thing. When I make this cue, I can double click on it and it kind of shows me like a blueprint type thing which I can then alter. For this, I'm going to click on my sound. And underneath the details of my sound, I'm going to say looping. And this will make it so the sound loops. It continues. Once it gets to the end, it goes back to the beginning. Once it gets to the end, it goes back to the beginning. And there's all other stuff you can kind of add to it. And you could do different things. But for right now, for absolute beginners, we just want to get this looping. So I clicked on my sound and I said looping. I save it. It will automatically update. So this here is my cue. I don't want to bring another cue in. Do not bring another cue in. It's already there. But it updates because I saved it, updates, and now when I play, I'm running around. It's looping. It'll play forever. Gets to the end, it goes right back to the beginning. So it just keeps on playing forever, which is great. That's what you want to have with environmental sounds, right? You want those things just going on forever and ever and ever. Awesome. So that works. So now, what if I want to make like a combat sound, like a sound of like when my player shoots his little magic spell or something. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to say new folder, I'm going to call this combat. And inside here, I've got a couple sounds I've already picked out. Magic sounds. I've got 4 different magic sounds. And what I did is when I got them from Google Classroom, in that folder that I shared in Google Classroom, but this was, when I opened this sound originally, it had 4 sounds in a row in one file. So I cut each sound out, I copied it, and I pasted it into a new file, and I saved it as sound 1, sound 2, sound 3, sound 4. So I cut them up so they're just single sounds. So I'm going to click on the first one, and I'm going to hold Shift and click on the last one. That allows you to select multiple things. When you hold Shift, you can select multiple things. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is selected. I'm just going to drag them right in. So now I've got 4 different sounds here. I can listen to them. That's cool. All right. Awesome. 4 sounds that are all kind of the same, but a little bit different. And then I'm going to right click and say Sounds, Sound Cue. I'm going to make a sound cue that's going to combine all these together. So I'm going to call this Cue Magic Shot. And then when I open this up, there's nothing here, right? It's just like nothing. I hit play, there's nothing here. So I've got to take this first shot. I'm going to drag it all the way up. I'm going to wait for it to flip over. I'm dragging it up to the tab, and I'm going to drop it here, and I'm going to connect it. Cool. So when I hit play, cool. All right. Let's pretend I'm shooting over and over again, right? It sounds kind of repetitive, right? It's the same sound over and over and over. It's going to start to bother the player. So what I want to do is I want to maybe have multiple sounds here that it chooses randomly between. So I'm going to go take my sound 2, and I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to drop it here. And now I'm going to disconnect this. The way you disconnect these is you hold down Alt and you click. I'm going to right click and say random. So I'm going to type in random. And now when I connect sound 1, and I connect sound 2, and I connect this to the speaker, when I hit play, oh, I'll play sound 1. Now play sound 2. Now play sound 1. It's kind of randomly choosing between them, going back and forth, which is cool. Let's put all 4 in there. So I'm going to take 3, I'm going to drop it in here. And I'm going to take 4, and I'm going to drop it in here. I'm going to add an input, connect it. Add an input, connect it. And now it's going to randomly choose it randomly chooses between one of those 4 inputs, one of those 4 sounds to play. So when the player's playing the game, we can connect this cue to when the player clicks shoot. When they click shoot, it's going to play this, and they'll randomly choose between which one it plays. Pretty cool. So what I want you to do is, as the sound designer or artist, and you probably could work with designer too on this, bring your sounds into Unreal and then create cues for your sounds. Some sounds, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 different sounds, but then you'll need one cue that chooses randomly between them. So if you have shooting sounds, that's a great example. Footstep sounds, it's another great example. Something that's going to repeat, but you want the sounds to change slightly. You're going to have different versions of the sound that randomly are choosing. So make cues, random cues, for anything that you have multiple sounds that you want it to choose between those sounds as you're playing. And then make environmental sounds, anything that is going to be looping, make sure you have a cue that has it looping. So if yours takes place in the city and you have city sounds going on, you want those looping the whole time. Good luck, everybody.